As someone who's looking to really start doing more YouTube videos and doing light commercial work as well as some creative projects like music videos, in this video I'm going to walk you through why I decided to go with the Sony ZV-E1. The number one reason I got this camera, and the number one reason a lot of people end up getting this camera, is the price. You're getting the same sensor as the Sony FX3 and the Sony a7S III, but at roughly half the price. And actually when I purchased this camera, it was on sale for only $1,900, which, you know, $1,900, yeah, that's a lot of money. I just really couldn't justify spending the extra money on the Sony FX3 when I knew I wasn't gonna be reaping the benefits of it. I'm mainly gonna be shooting YouTube videos here in this office, as well as doing some light commercial work and creative projects like music videos. So I didn't really need a workhorse like the Sony FX3. Before I really go into the other reasons why I chose this camera, I wanted to start by saying I've been using the Sony a7 III since it dropped, as well as using the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. And if you know anything about the Blackmagic Pocket 6K, it is not a YouTube camera whatsoever. You know, there's several YouTubers out there that are using it, and while that may work for their workflow, it just wasn't working for me. It was too much of a hindrance, and it just wasn't justifiable for me to keep using that camera for YouTube videos, especially with the huge file sizes they produce. So since it had been a few years since I actually got a camera, I decided, you know, now is the time to do it. And this camera went on sale for $1,900, which at that price, I just really couldn't say no to it. One of the other reasons I decided to go with the Sony ZV-E1 was the form factor. For some people, it doesn't really work, but for the work I'm doing, having a small camera is really important. Setting up the Blackmagic Pocket 6K every single time to shoot a video, it's just a ton of work, and it would actually keep me from producing videos like this one, because the setup times and having to deal with manual focus, it just wasn't really working. I might as well swap over to the ZV-E1 because it doesn't make any sense for me to just keep it here in my hand. Okay, so now I'm actually filming on the Sony ZV-E1, and just being able to monitor yourself with a flip out screen is a game changer for me. Rigging up my Blackmagic Pocket 6K with an external monitor was always such a task, so to get the flip out screen on the Sony ZV-E1, shooting content such as YouTube videos, and you want to be able to monitor yourself, it's so nice having that flip out screen. And that's something that I haven't had in the Sony a7 III or the Blackmagic Pocket 6K, and I didn't realize how helpful it really is, just because I have been using the Shinobi to monitor myself and set focus. So having that flip out screen, it isn't the brightest, but it definitely gets the job done. With the Sony ZV-E1, you're getting a lot of the same codecs that you're getting on the a7S III and some of the FX series cameras. But for me, using Blackmagic RAW for a couple years, those file sizes were still huge. Even if I was shooting at 12:1 compression, my first YouTube video on this channel with the office video, that was 1,500 gigabytes of storage, and just maintaining all that footage, keeping it on SSDs, as well as having the backups to actually be able to edit off the SSDs, it was a task. I was having to constantly delete stuff. I would have to delete off a lot of recordings that I made that I knew weren't gonna quite make the cut, strictly because I didn't have the file sizes for it. Earlier this year, I did pick up the DJI mics. If you're in scenarios where you would typically be using the DJI mics or any type of wireless audio solution, you're not really gonna be able to solve that with having good onboard camera audio. Now, for the majority of this video, you have been listening to a shotgun mic, but I really didn't want to just keep switching up the audio so you could hear it. But I will go ahead and do just a sound difference between the Sony ECM-B1M microphone that I'm recording on and the onboard audio on the Sony ZV-E1. Okay, so now you're listening to the onboard Sony ZV-E1 audio. Just for background, I do have the audio recording level set at 20, and I have the front directional microphone turned on. I didn't want to turn on the omnidirectional option or let it choose. I wanted to just directly compare this to the Sony ECM-B1M and the onboard Sony ZV-E1 audio. I kind of talked about the size earlier, but being able to put this camera on pretty much any tripod and not worrying about it falling over is such a nice thing. The Pocket 6K is such a big camera that lugging that around and making sure you have a properly sized tripod is just a huge task in itself. And I'll show you on this camera how the camera is set up right now. So I'm able to use just a small tabletop tripod to actually film these videos, and the workflow is just so much easier. If this helped you decide if the Sony ZV-E1 is right for you, please let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching today's video and have a blessed day.